Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this is meant for class 12th biology students, and this is meant for 13th July 2020. And our memory helps us to understand that we were discussing and reflecting on chapter number 8, human health and diseases, and in this we were talking about various types of diseases. And if you recollect from your memory, we defined a disease as a condition or a state wherein we have got physically unfit, mentally ill health or unhealthy, socially not acceptable, and with infirmity, with lots of diseases. So this is how we defined disease opposite to the word health, the condition health. And types of diseases: congenital. Unfortunately, some people will get right from birth, so they are called inborn diseases. And some, again, bad luck, genetically inherited. Some diseases are genetically inherited. And second type is acquired disease. This is after birth, post birth. And non-inheritable, these are not to be inherited, they will not go to the next generation. So during the lifespan, some diseases are acquired. And in congenital diseases, of course, we'll be talking about gene mutations, particularly hemophilia, color blindness, and then disease due to chromosomal mutation, Down syndrome, Klinefelter's syndrome. All these diseases in detail we'll talk in genetics chapter. And now, right now, we'll talk about acquired diseases. In acquired, two, communicable or infectious diseases. So these diseases are because of bacteria, pathogens, virus, protozoa, helminthes, fungus, and they may be spread through air, water, food, or mere physical contact. Sometimes there will be vectors also. Vectors are nothing but carriers, like malaria. Malaria is spread by a vector called female Anopheles mosquito. Similarly, non-communicable. These are non-infectious. They are only like diabetes. If somebody has got diabetes, sugar disease in a family, if the person touches the family member, the diabetes will not spread, fortunately, to other members. Similarly, arthritis, muscle pain or knee pain, any joint pains, we say it's because of deformity in the bones and lack of calcium in the bones that results in a lot of friction and stiffness. Then we say it is arthritis. Somebody having arthritis, if he or she touches someone, arthritis will not go, fortunately. Similarly, cancers. Some cancers are only restricted to the individual. And allergic asthma, it is also restricted. What are the common diseases in humans? Any substance which cause a disease by its excess or deficiency or absence of disease agents. Organisms belonging to bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoans, helminthes, which cause disease are called pathogens. So how do you define a pathogen? Pathogen is an organism that causes diseases. So a virus may be a pathogen, like right now we have got COVID-19, that's a pathogen. So pathogen acts as parasite by living on or inside, either outside or inside, we say external and internal, and cause harm. Mode of transmission, variety, and it may be through air, it may be through water, it may be direct physical contact, like this. So once it enters into the body, it starts multiplying and interfere with our normal functioning of our body, and it brings a disturbance in our morphology, in our physiology, and in our biochemistry. So pathogens, after they enter inside the host, adapts itself based on the environment. So pathogen entering gut should survive at low pH to resist digestive enzymes. That means some adaptations they must undergo in order to survive in the host, otherwise they will die. And let us discuss about some of the communicable human diseases. These are dangerous. When we say communicable, they spread across from person to person, source to source, society to society, so we must be very careful. And you also need to remember the binomial nomenclature name, biological name of the causative agent, because many times in NEET exam and UPSC ND exam, they will be asking you the biological name. So the typhoid is caused by a bacterium called Salmonella typhoid, Salmonella, remember. And it is, how does it spread? It spreads through food, it spreads through contaminated water, and it enters into small intestine and migrate to other organs through blood. How do you know that a person has got a typhoid? Of course, the typical character of typhoid is fever, high fever, very high fever, and weakness, and a lot of pain, and constipation, headache, severe headache, and not feeling hungry, loss of appetite. So, leading to, of course, finally, unfortunately, death. Hence, one must be very careful. How do you know that a person is suffering with the typhoid internally? Of course, these are the symptoms. Symptoms are shown. But how to ascertain that a person is having this? For that, we have to perform a test called Vidal test. This also you must remember. So, Mary Mallon, nicknamed Typhoid Mary, typhoid carrier, was cook by profession, continued to spread typhoid for several years through food she prepared. Oh my God. So, this is how through food it spreads. And mode of transmission, look at this, Salmonella typhi. Through food it is spreading. So be careful, must have always fresh and neat and clean food. Otherwise, if the food is old and dirty, there's a Salmonella. So take care of that Salmonella. And loss of appetite, symptoms just now we discussed, abdominal cramps, a lot of pain, diarrhea, fever, nausea, vomiting. These are all the symptoms of typhoid. And next we go to pneumonia. Now, so the pneumonia also is very, very dangerous, and it is caused by another bacteria, Streptococcus pneumoniae. Look at the species name, pneumoniae, disease name, pneumonia. So easy to remember, Streptococcus pneumoniae, and Haemophilus influenza, flu also. So this together, very deadly combination. And it is through droplets, like how now COVID is spreading through droplets. Aerosols released by an infected person and by sharing glasses and utensils with the infected persons. So don't share the glasses and the plates that in which you are eating. How do you know that person is suffering with the pneumonia? The disease developed by causating infection in respiratory tract. So alveoli due to infection gets filled with fluid. So lungs will have fluids. And that's how the pneumonia will be known. So these are the following symptoms we can say. One is first the person will have a lot of chills, so you will be shivering, and this is followed by fever, and a lot of pain will be there, and breathing difficulty will be there, and the respiratory rate comes down, and severe cough will be there. So these are the various symptoms that a patient suffering with the pneumonia experience. And look at our dangerous fellow, how he looks like under electron microscope, Streptococcus. And look at the alveoli. See, I want you to see the difference between a normal alveoli and affected alveoli, and in a pneumonia patient. So we must be careful. And common cold, of course, rhinovirus, and it's inhalation of droplets, cough, sneeze of an infected person, transmission through contaminated objects. And what are the symptoms? Look at that. It's a corona family. Infected nose, respiratory passage blocked, and lungs also get affected. And common cold show symptoms like nasal congestion. There will be some blocks in the nasal congestion, and discharge of sputum, sore throat, and cough, severe headache, tiredness, and sometimes even you have pain in the chest, continuous cough. And the symptoms usually last 3 to 7 days. And these are the symptoms that we can see. Look at that. Common cold has no cure. Why no cure? Because of RNA. And these are the symptoms: fever, aches, chills, sudden tiredness, all this. And very dangerous fellow, malaria. And this is caused by Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium species 3 will be there. Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malaria, Plasmodium falciparum. All 3 are very dangerous, so we need to be careful. And falciparum, particularly it's malignant malaria, which will be fatal, very, very dangerous. It kills the person. And epidemiology, it is because of a vector. I told you, female Anopheles mosquito. That's why in your home, please ensure that no female Anopheles mosquitoes are there. And target organ, double target. It is RBC of the blood, red blood cells of the blood, and liver. And how do you know that person has got malaria? High fever with chills, and fever occurs on every alternate day, and vomiting will be there. Look at the patient's symptoms: skin, respiratory, dry cough, spleen, stomach, and look at the back. There is a muscular fatigue, muscle pain will be there, systematic fever will be there, and central severe headache will be there. And how does it spread? So first, look at that. The female Anopheles mosquito comes and bites a person, and from its saliva, it releases the malarial pathogen, and once the malaria pathogen enters, a protozoan enters, immediately it goes into the liver of the person. So parasites, sporozoites reach the liver through blood, and once they reach the liver, the parasite reproduces asexually in liver cells, bursting the cell and releasing into the blood. So it starts eating the liver, and using that energy, they burst that. And then these burst liver cells release a lot of sporozoites, and they come to the RBC now, red blood cells. So parasites reproduce asexually in red blood cells, bursting the red blood cells and causing cycles of fever and other symptoms. Released parasites infect new red blood cells. So one blood cell bursts, we say erythroblastosis. So erythrocytes will be blasted because of the sporozoites, and these entering into the red blood, new red cells, RBC. So the RBC count keeps on coming down. And here the asexually formed parasites will be having male and female gametes in the RBC, and these gametocytes reach into the blood back. So once the mosquito comes, female Anopheles mosquito, it bites the person, the infected person, it takes up the gametocytes with blood meal, and now fertilization and development takes place in the mosquito's intestine. So the male gamete and female gamete that are coming out of the RBC of the human being now enters into the intestine of the female Anopheles. Their fertilization takes place, and then mature infective stages, sporozoites escape from intestine and migrate to salivary glands of the mosquito. So look at that, there's a breaking salivary glands, and the sporozoites are coming back to saliva. And once they reach the saliva, when the mosquito bites another human being, sporozoites are injected with the bite. So this is how the cycle gets completed. And this is discovered by a very great scientist called Sir Ronald Ross. So it's malarial cycle it's called, and more famously it is called Ross cycle. And for this, Ronald Ross in 1897 and born, and in 1902, he got a Nobel Prize for this. Deservingly, he got a Nobel Prize. He has saved many lives, and in the past, because of malaria, there were large number of deaths, and those deaths could have been avoided, but because of research. Thanks to Sir Ronald Ross for that. And this is how there will be two hosts, as you are seeing in the picture, a human being and a mosquito, and the mosquito is Anopheles. And life cycle of Plasmodium, that is the organism that is causing the disease. So Plasmodium is the pathogen, female Anopheles is the vector or carrier. So it starts with injecting sporozoites through the bite of infected female Anopheles mosquito. Parasite initially multiply within liver cells and then attack the RBC, resulting in their rupture. So erythroblastosis will be taking place. There is release of toxic substance called hemozoin. Please remember this word, hemozoin. from the ruptured orbits. It is responsible for chills and high fever. From the infected human, the parasite enters into the body of Anopheles mosquito during biting and sucking blood. Further development takes place in the body of Anopheles mosquito. So, what is that you have to do? Please draw this cycle and write all the important points and try to understand and appreciate the work of Sir Ronald Ross. I'll see you in the next session.